How we're going to review The Purge Election Year, directed by James DeMonaco, an action horror film centered on Sergeant Barnes, who vows to serve and protect Senator and anti-Purge activist Charlene Roan from the crazies that run amok in the night during the 12-hour national purge, an American holiday where all heinous crimes against humanity are permissible. Now, I've never seen any of the Purge films, and I don't really intend to, but what really grabbed my attention for this particular film was the actual trailer. The trailer did something that horror movies pretty much never do when it comes to the trailer, and that is make me scared, make me feel unsettled. It's a trailer that doesn't rely on shitty jump scares or just crappy CGI entities. Plus, there's no hint of an obnoxious Tiny Tim's. I mean, really, those kinds of trailers just bother the living hell out of me. What also stands out about the trailer and what also stands out about the film is that the nastiness that you see being depicted is done by people, not the paranormal, which I think is always scarier. Plus, there's those damn grotesque masks with those eerie close-ups and angles that just really kind of freaked me out while watching the trailer. Speaking of which, the costuming here is on point, and it really reminded me of the creativity that went into last year's Mad Max Fury Road with the elaborate automobile designs. And it's the crazies that don these costumes and run amok throughout the city. They're the ones who bring this world to life, and they're by far the most fascinating element to it. And despite the encounters between the crazies and the main set of characters being scattered and being all too brief throughout, it really seems to me like this is where the movie is at its best and it's having the most fun. Then top that off with the ultra dark cityscapes with the orange glow of street lamps, and you have something that looks very much as if it was made for Halloween. So really, based upon just purely aesthetics, I really admire this movie. And I should also probably mention that the movie does bring up a handful of relevancies with its many metaphors that pertain to gun control, a false sense of entitlement by millennials, the 1%, piety, as well as immigration. And although that it doesn't really seem to me that it does a whole lot with its metaphors, I do think it is very much commendable that it does at least try to have a brain, and it does pursue to sit at the adults table. That said, Election Year is actually pretty freaking stupid. Granted, it does have some nice pieces of spectacle, though some of it is a little uninspired, mostly of what revolves around shootouts. It's essentially shots of people taking cover, firing their guns, cutting to a shot of the impact, and it makes for a somewhat unexciting climax. But getting back to the overall IQ of Election Year, it's pretty low. Characters say stupid things, most notably Michael T. Williamson's character, who plays a black stereotype shop owner. I mean, really, they basically did everything of what it says not to do and how not to create a black stereotype handbook. It's pretty bad. And not to mention that there are lines of dialogue that he is given to say that don't even make sense. Though to give the movie credit, although I would probably say that's more with Michael T. Williamson, is that the character, he's quite charming, so that's worth noting. Another problem that I have with this film, and this is by far the biggest one, is that characters make dumbass decisions, straight up dumbass decisions, left and right. Honestly, and this is not too much of an hyperbole, but you can pretty much go through scene by scene and point out something stupid in each of them. Then again, I am talking about a movie from the very beginning with its premise has already delved deep into the implausible. As far as performances go, they're not amazing, but they are good. Some are overacted, particularly the Purgers or the Crazies, but it only suits them. Though as far as characters go, I am pleasantly surprised to say that I did find myself rooting for them, mostly because of how shitty and just downright evil everyone else was in the film. In other words, anybody in the film who demonstrates a least bit of good is good. If there's any last statements I would like to make, it is this one scene that features these girls riding in on this car that's decked out in Christmas lights, and it's pretty cool. The only thing about it that kind of irked me was the song that they were playing in the car. The song that they were playing is Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, and that is just really fucking awful. Though I suppose, to be fair, it may have something to do with the false sense of self-entitlement that millennials have, which Miley Cyrus would fit in quite well with. That said, it was still pretty damn painful to the ears. Other than that though, it's a pretty cool looking scene. So with everything said, I'm going to give The Purge Election Year a very strong 2.5 out of 5. If you are somebody who has seen The Purge Election Year, then do let me know your thoughts on it, and as always, I'm Colin Kirkland, and thank you so much for watching.